Shalom, welcome back to Breslov campus. In Breslov history, the following story is how things took place regarding the passing of Rebbe Nachman. Rebbe Nachman passed away in the year 1810 in the city of Uman in the Ukraine, the 18th day of the month of Tishrei. And when he passed away, there was a great stir and disaccord amongst the followers of Rebbe Nachman as to where to bury him. His followers, for example, from Teplik, nearby Teplik, they insisted that Rebbe Nachman be buried by them because they had their reasons. The followers from Breslov, they insisted that Rebbe Nachman be buried back in Breslov because that's where he lived. In short, there were many opinions where to bury Rebbe Nachman. Rav Nosson, who was the only one who knew where Rebbe Nachman really wanted to be, because Rebbe Nachman hinted to and indicated to Rav Nosson that his wish was to be buried amongst the martyrs who were killed in a pogrom that took place in Uman approximately in the year 1768, which was, or even a bit later, 1778, 1768 I think is the right year, 1778, sorry. And he said, Rebbe Nachman, there was such a great sanctification of God's name from the death of these martyrs, approximately 30,000 Jews in 3 days, and it was his wish. He said here would be good to lie down. So Rav Nosson knew that this was Rebbe Nachman's true wish, but no one was interested in listening to Rav Nosson. Rav Nosson was telling everyone that this is where Rebbe Nachman wanted to be buried, and yet even though the other followers knew the greatness of Rav Nosson and knew that Rebbe Nachman considered Rav Nosson as knowing about him better than anybody else, like Rebbe Nachman explicitly said himself, yet when it came time of action, everyone had their own interests in mind. He should be buried by us, we should have him by us, etc. So Rav Nosson was at a loss. No one was listening to him to fulfill Rebbe Nachman's wish. Came along a maskil, an enlightened Jew of Uman, a resident of Uman, who was very, very prominent in the community, very highly respected because of his connections with the Tsar of Russia and major government officials. His name was Hirsch Ber Horvitz. He was one of the maskilim, the enlightened Jews, in which Rebbe Nachman began to develop a very strong connection with towards the end of his life, to the extent that there's Hirsch Ber, even though he was against and made fun of and mocked rabbinical leaders, he began to have such a liking and respect for Rebbe Nachman because he saw his greatness, how wise and smart and outstanding Rebbe Nachman was, that he himself said, Hirsch Ber, that if Rebbe Nachman would have lived longer, a bit longer, he would have dropped everything and totally repented and come back to be a God-fearing Jew. That's what he himself said about the loss that he felt, the pain of the loss of Rebbe Nachman leaving so early this world at age 38. So Hirsch Ber knew that Rav Nosson knew better than anybody else what Rebbe Nachman really wanted. So Hirsch Ber came and he asked Rav Nosson, where did Rebbe Nachman want to be buried? I know that you know the real truth. And he told him he wants to be buried in the old Jewish cemetery where the martyrs from the pogrom of Gunta took place. So simply Hirsch Ber went to the government offices involved in purchasing a plot of land. He purchased 2 plots there. There was two plots available, even though the cemetery wasn't in use anymore because it was old, it was outdated. There was a newer cemetery in Uman down below. He was able to find 2 plots that he purchased, one for the actual grave, and another one to have room to build a shrine, an ohel, around Rebbe Nachman's kever, which is the famous picture that people know that was existing of the Rebbe Nachman's grave until the year 1942. So Rav Michal Dorfman, when he would tell me this story, he would say, you never know. It could very well be that the whole reason why Rebbe Nachman drew close these people, these maskilim, these secular Jews, who at first glance had no interest at all in Yiddishkeit, in Judaism and Torah. And in fact, when Rebbe Nachman spoke to these people, he played chess with them, he played shachmat with them, he spoke about philosophy with them, Greek philosophy, mathematics. That's why they were so impressed with him, because of his profound knowledge. So Rav Michal would say to me, it could very well be that the Rebbe Nachman drew close to them because he knew that these are the ones who would have the authority and power to get things done right, to get Rebbe Nachman buried in the place that he had set aside for him already. And like Rav Nosson writes in the book Yemei Mohanat, that this burial place of Rebbe Nachman was already set for him from the 6 days of creation. Rav Nosson writes that, which is, by the way, why the reason we're afraid to take Rebbe Nachman's body and bring it to the Holy Land, because it was his explicit wish to be buried there, mentioning the outstanding rectifications he can accomplish by being buried amongst all those martyrs there. So we have to take into consideration every detail of Rebbe Nachman's life, the significance of all the people he met and the stories, because there's tremendous depth and profundity in all of it.